is Wednesday, April 28th, 2021, and I'm still in the Atlanta, Georgia area. You may want to call it Hotlanta today, 'cause it's supposed to be in the mid-80s, and there is some humidity that is being felt today. In fact, for me to get back here to, this is Mulberry Park, up on the northeast side of Atlanta, is I have to trek through some woods to get to this private location, and found a couple of cobwebs as I was making my way through. It's interesting how spiders can spin their webs so quickly and so forth. So anyway, a little bit humid today. You may be hearing some fowl behind me, some geese and some ducks going quack, quack, quack. Again, I love being outside. I don't like being inside. I love nature. I love being, just makes me feel closer to the Lord, a lot more peaceful, a lot more joyful. People, again, that are healed and delivered have a lot more peace, a lot more fun, a lot more joy. They don't strive, they don't argue, they don't try to fight. And people that aren't healed and delivered have a lot of pride, and they take an offense at everything. So it's amazing when you are freed, how you just have fun and you laugh and you have peace and you trust the Lord, and everything just goes much, much better. So I'm excited about the topic of the day, which is overcoming people on assignment to stop you from God's assignment. And you think about the people that are on assignment to stop you. There's people that, if you're in a ministry, of course, you're going to deal with spiritual warfare and other people who have demonic spirits who are not delivered yet. But outside of that, everyone's got family members. Typically, you're going to have a mother or a father if they're still alive. You're going to have siblings, and so oftentimes they're not, well, most times they're not delivered, so they're going to say things and do things to try to cause you to have arguments, pick fights, come against you, speak negative, try to ruin your day. So we'll be talking about all of the above. There's, again, you have friends that are not having your best interest at heart, and they act like they do at first, and then they end up trying to start controlling you or manipulating you and not behaving in a godly, loving way. So there's a lot of things we have to overcome. I had to overcome in my own ministry pastors, other ministry people, I guess, put it that way, intercessors, prophets. I have had to deliver people that are prophets, that have demons, that they have inner wounds from when they're growing up, and they will, lie, they will gossip, they're not godly. They can hear from the Lord, sure, they can give a word, but they may have some words too that are tainted, and so they need to personally take a look at themselves. So lots of people that need inner healing and deliverance. In fact, there was a lady yesterday that shared some things that just saddens me when pastors speak words that hurt people, that aren't right. And people that have already been hurt, people that have been satanic ritually abused, people that have been sex trafficked, people that have been hurt very, very deeply. And then the pastors that aren't understanding about how these spirits work and how to do deliverance, they end up saying things that aren't true, and then they end up hurting the person even worse. So we got to have a heart from the Lord for these people, and have a love. And if you don't have the fruit of the Spirit every day in your life, then there's some additional wounds that need to be healed, and some demons that need to be delivered, and mindsets that need to be changed consistently. So typically deliverance is a process. So hopefully you are closer to being freed than, I don't know, just starting. But at least if you're just starting the process, you're starting in the right direction. You're pursuing being healed and set free, and looking at yourself. So many times people that aren't delivered are going to look outside of themselves and blame other people. And so you got to be honest. The Lord knows, are you aligned with the Lord and you're simply battling other people's demons, or do you still have a lot of demonic spirits that need to be broken, freed from, through forgiveness, through repentance for pride? Because there's a lot of people that are blaming other people, and they need to look at themselves in the mirror. So Anyway, here's the current tour for the next couple months, the 2021 Breakthrough Tour. So this Saturday, Atlanta, Georgia, at the Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center. Looking forward to seeing people from multiple states that are coming in for that. Again, it's a Saturday night, 7 p.m. We will start worship at 7:07 p.m. and then we should be done by 9. Sometimes maybe a little after 9, and then there'll be time for answering any questions that people have and chatting and so forth. I will not be doing personal sessions there. I know of a lot of people that have wanted me to do personal sessions, and no. The goal of this meeting, of all the meetings I do corporately, is to at least make people aware that they're struggling with demons and how it all correlates, and how to get healed from that. So it's a start, basically. And then if anyone wants to do a private session, they can always schedule that with me. I'm going to try to open up my schedule to do like one session, maybe per evening the next couple weeks, see how it works out. I've done that on one night a week that I will do like an evening session. Primarily I do them from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern, and I do about 7 to 8 sessions a week. But I know that there are some people that work, so they have to do in the evening. So I'm going to try to open up to one slot a night for the next couple weeks, and we'll see how it goes. Again, I don't want to be busy doing, I used to do 5 to 6 deliverances a day, and that got exhausting. I did that for a year and a half. And when you do 25 a week times what? It's about, I don't know, 250 plus 272. It's almost 300 a year. So I used to do about 300 private sessions a year when I first started out, and now I'm doing about 7 to 8 just because, again, I travel, do ministry, and I want to have a life to enjoy. So anyway, this Saturday, Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center. It's up on the north side. There's actually 3 State Farm glass buildings that surround it. I used to have State Farm as my insurance. My dad had State Farm, my brothers had it. It's funny how, it's interesting, when you are growing up, getting to drive a car for the first time, typically, whoever your mom or dad have as insurance on their car, you end up getting, because you pretty much follow along with what your mom or dad do. Isn't that interesting? All right, so May 22nd, 23rd, start traveling, going out west. I'm going to be in Hot Springs, Arkansas at the Highland Street Revival Church. May 29th, May 30th, Merkel, Texas, which is west of Dallas, which is west of Abilene. Fountain Gate Merkel Church. I've been there at least 3 times before, maybe 4 times. And we did just add a prophecy night on Sunday night, May the 30th, the day before Memorial Day. I love doing prophecy, love getting words from the Lord, speaking. We've seen a lot of the words that the Lord has given me have come to pass for the people there. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. There's one, the Lord gave me a word for the pastor there that he was going to be married by the end of the year. And he did. He ended up finding a wife, got married. And so that came to pass within, I don't know, I think it was within 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, something like that. So June the 5th, Las Vegas, Nevada, at a home group that is about 15 minutes from the downtown strip area. So I've been there to that home twice before. That's a Saturday night. And then June the 6th, Sunday night in Anaheim, California at Ecclesia Global Church. And then June 25th to 27th, weekend, the last weekend of June in Seattle, Washington at the Point Church. Pastor Mike Zachman, another Purdue Boilermaker turned ministry man. So yay, I see Kim from Las Vegas on YouTube. Again, we're on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Yesterday, I don't know, there was a glitch in Facebook and it ended up shutting down after about 15 minutes or something. So I made declarations today that it will hold up the entire time. So YouTube's been doing strong. In fact, we're adding, again, about 10 new people subscribing to YouTube every day or 2, which is good to see the numbers increasing for YouTube. All right, July 9th and 10th in Billings, Montana at the Everlasting Covenant Congregation, which is a Messianic congregation. Seen some amazing miracles. There was a guy there, this is about 2 years ago. He was in a major truck injury accident where he was like, I think, parked and the guy hit him from like 60 miles an hour from behind or beside, something like that. Messed him up hugely. He couldn't sleep at night. He had pain all the time. And he went through the deliverance at a corporate, one of the breakthrough events we had. And then the next day he came in and said that, you know, he was healed. He didn't take any medication to sleep, and he bent over like better than I could bend over, all the way and touched his, I don't know, he could touch the floor. I mean, he was extremely flexible. And I was like, holy cow, that's crazy. Anyway, his testimony's on my YouTube channel. If you go out to the playlists of deliverance testimonies, I think that's what it's called. But you can watch him on there, and it's quick, short, I don't know, 8 minutes of testimony. It's great. Again, we have a lot of testimonies from people that have gotten delivered, that saved their lives and their marriages, which is always a good thing. July 24th, Omaha, Nebraska, Empowered Family Church. Looking forward to that. Never have been to that church before. That's to be a first time. July 31st, Fort Atkinson, Iowa, In One Accord. I've been there a couple of times before. Again, major deliverances there of individuals that help save their marriages, which is always a great thing. And then August the 1st, Decorah, Iowa, Christian Life Center. Be the first time I've been there. And then in August, looking to come to Minneapolis, Minnesota, back to Appleton, Wisconsin, and then Chicago. So Chicago, we've had the best turnout of any place, any city in America. Houston, I think, is number 2. But I was shocked because I had never been to Chicago to do ministry. And then the first time we show up, we had like 70 plus people that were there. People that came in like that didn't even know about it, that the Lord brought. And then people that had learned about it from an ad, like, I don't know, the day of, like a couple hours before, these students from Wheaton College that came. So, and then the next time I came back there, they brought a bunch of other Wheaton College people. So great. All right, before I get started on the title, on the topic of the day, overcoming people on assignment to stop you from God's assignment, I'm going to read this that I found this morning. It's really good. And there was a person that had a question of how would you liken people who have narcissism? And hey, a great testimony on YouTube. Great to hear. But there's a question that came up on YouTube, and no, actually, I think it was Quora. I've been also answering questions on Quora for people, but they were wanting to know what it was like dealing with the person that has narcissism, which is demonic spirits. It's what they have. They're controlling, they're manipulative, they're mean, they're liars, they're demonic. And there's about half the world that would be in a spectrum of narcissism. There's a lot that were on the light end, and there's, you know, again, there's a good percentage of those that are on the heavier end. But what would you liken it to? And I thought this was just really appropriate. It says, narcissists are like an aggressive, opportunistic virus. If your immune system is even slightly weakened, I mean, it's weak, the virus of narcissism will target you with an attempt to find a way in. Again, we know that narcissism is demonic. People that have been hurt, been wounded deeply when they've grown up will hear demons. Spirit of Jezebel, spirit of Leviathan, causes them to be diagnosed as the psychological community as being narcissists. So anyway, the narcissist will target people. It's like a virus. They will target people with a weakened immune system to try to find a way in. The narcissist does the same, wants a good host, and can only find a way in if you're weak personal boundaries and you have gullibility, which they allow. Once the virus is in, it will attack and try to weaken you, feeding off your energy and life force. But as the virus spreads and you feel weakened, you create antibodies, which can eventually neutralize the virus. The narcissist simply forces you to strengthen your weak points, to eventually repel it and overcome it. Your body has the natural tendency to rid itself of an unwanted tenant and will make the necessary adaptations to achieve this. Similarly, the narcissist forces you to create stronger boundaries, stop people-pleasing, and stop caring about them to the point to where it's detrimental, to send them running. After some time of being infected, you are no longer a good host, and the virus can no longer infect your cells. Once you become stronger, the narcissist wants nothing to do with you. Viruses only want to attack those with weakened immunity and whose cells are receptive of being infected. And narcissists only want compatible targets. I thought that was very apropos. You think about it. If you are a compassionate person, you have a mercy heart, you truly love people, that is a perfect target for those who have what would be considered a narcissist or the Jezebel spirit. Those who want to control you, manipulate you, tell you what to do, demand this, demand that, and convince you that they are right and you are wrong, and they're very good. And there's a lot of them that are quote unquote Christians, but they're in the church, and they want to control you, they want to manipulate you. They're like the Pharisees and the scribes, that they didn't really live a godly life. They didn't have any fruit of the Spirit. They just wanted to tell other people what to do. They wanted to write laws that even they would not live under. So when you are in a relationship, say that you're married to someone that struggles with that spirit, control, manipulate you, well, eventually most people will stand up for themselves and say, enough is enough. I'm not going to take this anymore. Tired of sleeping with the enemy. It's not worth it. I want peace. I want my peace back. So typically, it will cause you to get stronger against it to eventually repel it. So today, on the topic, overcoming people on assignment to stop you from God's assignment, this is all written, I wrote this yesterday, actually over several hours. Basically what I do is the Lord give me a topic, and then I will start to write down some things that either I know or the Lord shows me, and then I'll continue to add to it. So I normally add to it up until, like, I work out in the morning, so I normally add to it as I'm working out. The Lord speaks to me, and I'll put it into my phone, and when I get back to shower and stuff, it's in my computer, it's in my iPad. It automatically adds it there. So anyways, this is written on the behalf of those whose lives are, got a bug on me, whose lives are largely healed and delivered. So they're more in alignment with the Lord. They're trying to do what God wants them to do. So they're mostly freed. I'm not talking about those who still are struggling with the spirit of Jezebel, who are being mean and lying and deceitful, because what they will do is they will look at godly people as those that are their enemy. I see this all the time. I know of some people that are witches, and they'll post things on there about their enemies. Well, their enemies are really godly people. It's because they're still infected. They're not delivered yet. So this topic of the day is for those who are truly more of the Lord, who do want to do what God's assignment is in their life. And then they have people who have largely been infected by demonic spirits. Could be their father, could be their mother, could be their sibling, could be their aunts, uncles, grandparents, you name it, and other people in the church that aren't delivered yet, that would try to stop you from God's calling. So keep that in mind. All right. So Jesus had to deal with religious people who wanted to stop him from his assignment from God. They were very religious and in the church, but didn't have godly fruit of the Spirit. They were called Pharisees and Sadducees. Jesus knew their heart's intentions were evil. They were jealous of him. They hated him. They would falsely accuse him of things to try and waste his time, and to cause other people to believe what they were accusing of was true. And we see people today that do that. Right. All right. They wanted to engage him in arguments and provoke him to anger. They wanted to shut him up and make him do what they wanted. They wanted to stop him from his assignment that God had for him. So, Jesus is a good model for us to look at, especially in this case, because he dealt with people that were like people that you deal with today and that I deal with today. People that want to engage with you and accuse you and wear you out and waste your time. You know, there's people that are, you know, every day in your life like that. There's people on the job, there's people at church, there's people in your family. And the goal of these people that have demons is to waste your time, to wear you out, to provoke you, to get you angry. And it wears on you. Wears on you physically. Oftentimes you get sicker and sicker and sicker. So what did Jesus do when he had the Pharisees and scribes that tried to do that to him? Jesus spoke the truth about them to expose them for who they really were. And when they got in his face to try to provoke him, again, largely Jesus didn't want to be around them. And largely if he saw the Pharisees and scribes coming, he wanted to get out of Dodge. He wanted to go into the mountains and avoid them. You know, that's the, I don't know, safest thing to do if you can minimize your communication with them, because all they're going to do is waste your time. They're time wasters. They've got demons. You cannot reason with people who have demons. You cannot reason with them. They'll wear you out. Their goal is to get you to do what their demons want. That's why it's safest and best to stay away from people like that if you can. But in the cases where they engage with you and you can't get away, what did Jesus do? He spoke the truth about them to expose them for who they really were, or he spoke the truth about what they were trying to manipulate him into, or lying about him or accusing him of. So when they got in his face, try to provoke him through false accusations, he would speak the truth to them, and he would be bold. He would stand up to them. And once he was done, what would he do? Would he stay and hang around and go into an argument for hours with them, which is what demons and people want to do? They want to waste your time. Nope, he didn't do that. He would leave. He didn't want to debate forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and argue with them. So demons inside of the Pharisees hated him. Same thing with demons inside of people today. People that hate you if you're trying as best you can to do what the Lord wants you to do. You know, there are people that are getting controlled by, I don't know, other people. Some of them could be their family members. Some of them could be, you know, people in church. And the demons in them want you to do and bow down to them and do everything that they tell you to do. And if you try to stand up to them, they'll get mad and angry and raise their voice and really go on a rant and rage. That's why it's good to disengage. Once you speak the truth, get out of Dodge. But understanding people that are in, I know a lot of people in family situations where you'll have one person that will accuse you of things, go off on you, abuse you, dismiss you, want to shut your mouth down. And when you finally do say nothing to them, then they get mad at you for not saying anything. So the best thing to do is to disengage. Get away, get out of Dodge. And there's truth. So the demons inside the Pharisees hated him. The best way to deal with anyone who's trying to stop you from God's calling. I'm going to go back here. When they got in his face, tried to provoke him through false accusations, he would speak the truth to them boldly, stand up to them, and once he was done, he would leave and not debate and argue with them. The demons inside the Pharisees hated him, but that is the best way to deal with anyone who is trying to stop you from God's calling. You speak the truth to them in love, and then you part. People who have demons are largely bullies. And the best way to silence a bully at times is to stand up to them with the truth. How many times, I don't know how many times I've seen this and saw this, but when a bully was picking on a kid at school, if the kid finally got tired of it and he stood up to him, and sometimes he would punch him, then the bully would respect him and he would no longer bully him. You know, I'll say that happened in my case. There was a kid on our bus that was bullying me, and I had an older brother. Older brother saw what was going on, So he came over and challenged the bully to a fight, and the bully promptly, what? Backed down. And in fact, the school bus driver was cheering on my brother, wanting him to beat the kid up because the kid was very disrespectful to him. The kid went to this place called Black Lake Lodge, which was a kid for troubled youth, which is ironic because now that's what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with people who get hurt, get wounded, and then they have demons because of it. And then they treat people badly. And that's everybody in the world is struggling. If you get freed and delivered, or you had very loving father and mother and grandparents and didn't get sexually violated, you're going to be a lot more peaceful, a lot more godly and loving. But these people that are bullies largely are going to have the spirit of Jezebel and Leviathan, but Jezebel causes people to control and manipulate. They want their way all the time. They talk a lot, incessantly oftentimes. They dismiss you. They treat you with disrespect. They want to come against you if you have God in you, that's for sure, and Jesus in you. So most bullies have the spirit of Jezebel. And you could call them Jezebelies. That's really what they are. Who stood up to Jezebel in the Bible? Jehu did. He was anointed. He was anointed as king. And ultimately she was shoved out the window by the eunuchs. And oftentimes if you are in a relationship with a Jezebel, you feel like a castrated male, which is a eunuch. And then the eunuchs finally came to the rescue and shoved her out of the window, and she died and was eaten by the dogs, just like it was prophesied. She was a very, very evil, very, very evil person. And there's a lot of evil people that are in the world that wouldn't think they're evil. They think they're great, but they're blinded by their pride. This Leviathan spirit in Job 41. So anyway, Jehu stood up to Jezebel, and she was finally defeated once and for all. So Jesus, he would avoid the Pharisees altogether as much as he could. So again, that's, number one tactic is, if you have a person who wants to provoke you, wants to stop you from your assignment, the best thing to do is ignore them. Largely, that's what I do. If anyone tries to, whatever, engage and waste my time, I'll block them. I'll be done. I'm not going to waste any time. In fact, I'm not going to read what they would write. Why would I? It's a waste of time. It's written by people that have largely demonic spirits. So I'm not going to waste any time on that. And it's fun because I continue to enjoy my life and doing what God wants me to do and seeing the fruit of it. There's lives all over the world who are being freed every week, more and more and more. It's amazing. It's awesome. It's fun. I enjoy it. So anyway, Jesus would often avoid the Pharisees altogether because he knew their hearts were evil and they had bad intentions. Just like you're going to know people who have bad intentions, who are evil, who have evil fruit, bad fruit. The best thing to do is try to ignore them. And he knew that they just wanted to argue with him and waste his time. So when Jesus did speak to them, what did he do? Did he yell and scream and engage and go off trying to defend himself against accusations that were false? No. He spoke the truth. So if you have to engage with someone who wants to strive and fight and argue with you, speak the truth and then leave, disengage. Don't go on and on for half an hour. You're never going to convince them because they're hearing demonic spirits. Their goal is to speak words out to hurt you, to accuse you, and then guess what? You get to hear their voice hours later, days later, as the demons will keep on reminding you and bringing back what words were spoken to you. And that's very unhealthy. That's the demon's goal. All the demons in a person want to do is to seek out an accusation, a lie about you, saying this is who you are. And if you listen to the whole sentence, you're not going to have a peaceful night. You're going to remember what they said. Not going to go good. All right. So when Jesus did speak to the Pharisees, he spoke the truth. And what happened? They manifested. They hated him. They hated him all the more. But that's how we are to deal with people who have argumentative spirits and refuse to own their own issues, is we speak the truth in love and then depart from them. Engage with the enemy only when you have to and then get out of Dodge. Do not waste your time on them, as they only want to control you by drawing you into a battle of words. And you'll never win, because they'll just come up with 10 different scenarios, keep accusing and blaming. I remember those days. It was a waste of my time. I'm like, what the heck? I'm not going through that anymore. That's crazy town. You know, these are demonic spirits. And it's funny when you go to these marriage conferences that don't get to the root issue and don't talk about deliverance and demons. It's ridiculous. Well, why don't you just behave more loving and kind and respectful? Oh yeah, okay. And then it doesn't work. You leave the conference, and then the spouse that's controlling and manipulative goes back to doing what they were doing, blaming you. Why? Because they weren't delivered. Their personality, they have an alternate personality that's mean and evil. That's demonic. And I want to get to the root, get to the spiritual root, and then get it out. Again, people have free wills, so we can't make them. We can't make them. We can't override their free wills. If they want to keep their demons, they can. But they're never going to have peace, never going to have joy, never going to have intimacy like I talked about yesterday. You know, if they have sex, all it is sex. And in large part, it is disgusting. It doesn't make the person draw them closer to the spouse. That's why both parties need to be delivered, so they can really, truly have intimacy. And it's a good thing. All right, so let me read this. Let me read what Jesus said about those who tried to strive and argue with him. This is Matthew 23, 1 through 39. I think it's all of Matthew 23. Okay, here we go. It says, let me get a drink, because I'm going to be thirsty by the time I'm done reading this. All right, here we go. Then Jesus spoke to the multitudes and to his disciples. So again, he's speaking publicly. And again, I highly advise not to post things on social media and infer about other people. Yes, I know it gets hurtful and painful if someone does that to you, but in large part, people that do that it's not the way Jesus would. You know, Jesus here again, he is speaking to the multitudes and to his disciples. So you may say, well, he's kind of like social mediaing it, but he's speaking the truth about these people. And the Lord's always told me to stay off of social media. And if people ask you specifically, then you can tell them privately. That's been wisdom. Because otherwise, typically those that struggle with the spirits of Jezebel and so forth, they all day long would love to go off on social media, and they're being triggered. And people that see the different, a couple or whatever, they can kind of discern. It's funny, it's those that struggle with Jezebel typically that will side with those who are Jezebel, and those who are more godly will side with those who are more godly. And then over time, the truth ultimately comes out. All right, so Jesus spoke to the multitudes and his disciples. Scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Therefore, whatever they tell you to observe, that observe and do, but do not do according to their works. For they say and do not do. He's talking about the scribes and the Pharisees. For they bind heavy burdens hard to bear and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do are to be seen by men. See, image is everything to people with demons. They want to appear to people. Oftentimes they do good works, in front of the church, in the community, to make themselves appear good. But then those that are their victims behind closed doors get the wrath of them and their demons. All right. It says, but all their works they do to be seen by man. They make their phylacteries broad and enlarge the borders of their garments. They love the best places at feasts, the best seats in the synagogues, greetings in the marketplaces, and to be called by men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But you do not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Christ, and you are all brethren. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in heaven. And do not be called teachers, for one is your teacher, the Christ. But he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For you neither go in yourselves, nor do you allow those who are entering to go in. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. Therefore you will receive greater condemnation. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you travel land and sea to win one proselyte, and when he is won, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides, who say, whoever swears by the temple, it is nothing, but whoever swears by the gold of the temple, he is obliged to perform it. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? And whoever swears by the altar, it is nothing, but whoever swears by the gift that is on it, he is obliged to perform it. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifies the gift? Therefore he who swears by the altar swears by it and by all things on it. He who swears by the temple swears by it and by him who dwells in it. And he who swears by heaven swears by the throne of God and by him who sits on it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done, without leaving the others undone. Blind guides who strain out a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you cleanse the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of extortion and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first cleanse the inside of the cup and dish, that the outside of them may be clean also. Talking about deliverance there. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you are like whitewashed tombs, which indeed appear beautiful outwardly, but inside are full of dead men's bones and all uncleanness. Even so you also outwardly appear righteous to men, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness, which is sin, which are a lot of people today. They want to appear all good and godly, but inside they have impurity, sexual sins, pride, all kinds of evil. Because you build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the monuments of the righteous, and say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Therefore you are witnesses against yourselves that you are sons of those who murdered the prophets. Fill up, then, the measure of your father's guilt. Serpents, brood of vipers, how can you escape the condemnation of hell? Therefore, indeed, I send you prophets, wise men, and scribes. Some of them you will kill and crucify, and some of them you will scourge in your synagogues and persecute from city to city, that on you may come all the righteous blood shed on the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zechariah, son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Assuredly, I say to you, all these things will come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I wanted to gather your children together, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. See, your house is left to you desolate. For I say to you, you shall see me no more, till you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That's Matthew 23, 1-39. So Jesus spoke the truth. He was bold. He was confident. And when you speak the truth to people who are trying to bully you, stop you from doing God's assignment, they may go berserko on you. But it is the demons within them that are going berserk. You are speaking the truth. And you need to be more in fear of the Lord than you are people. People who are not healed and delivered will want to strive about everything and wear you out, falsely accusing you and wasting your time to wear you out and stop you from accomplishing what God wants. They will try and provoke you to anger so they can control you and ruin your peace. So this is another thing to keep in mind, is people that provoke. They're trying to get a rise out of you, trying to get to the point to where you blow up. So wisdom says disengage. Do not stay in that argument. Speak your piece, speak the truth, and disengage. If you're on the phone with somebody, that means speak the truth and then say, I gotta go. Click and hang up. If someone's texting you, you know, we've all maybe seen this, where someone will text you a whole ton of stuff. Don't read the whole thing. It's gonna waste your time. If all they're doing is ranting and raging on you, ignore it. And if you have to, block them. And you'll have a lot more peace that day. Then if you read all that they write, then you're going to end up, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said this, that, and they accused me of this and that. Oh my gosh, it's exhausting. So they're going to try and provoke you to anger so that they can control you. That's all they want. They want to control you. They know that if they can get you really mad and angry, ha ha, I gotcha. I controlled you. You know, they may even try the tactic of making you feel sorry for them. Aw, I'm a victim. Poor me. I've gone through so many hardships when I grew up. Yep, you did, and then you got demons because of it. And that's the truth. People that have been hurt, people that have been sexually violent, people that have been abused growing up have demons. And that's why they can't be at peace. That's why people that have been hurt have a lot of pride. And then they take an offense at the drop of a hat. And they try to offend you all day long and tell you to shut your mouth. Those are demons within them. So anyway, after you have spoken the truth to people who try to provoke you, then depart from them. Do not let them continue to drag you into an argument that goes on and on and on. Speak the truth and then disengage. 2 Timothy 2:23-26 says, but avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they generate strife. And a servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but be gentle to all, able to teach, patient, in humility correcting those who are in opposition, if God perhaps will grant them repentance, so that they may know the truth, that they may come to their senses, escape the snare of the devil, having been taken captive by him to do his will. So there's a lot of people who want to strive, fight, and argue. Speak the truth, and do not allow yourself to continue to be drawn into an argument. So another situation in the Bible where these people that had demonic spirits tried to stop a person from doing their calling in the Lord, and that was Nehemiah. Nehemiah, of course, was trying to finish building a wall to protect God's people, and his enemies rose up and tried to accuse him, waste his time, stop him from finishing the wall, doing what God wanted him to do. So this is Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 1 through 16. It says, now it happened when Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies heard that I had rebuilt the wall, and that there were no breaks left in it, though at that time I had not hung the doors and the gates, that Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, come, let us meet together among the villages in the plain of Ono. But they thought to do me harm. So I sent messengers to them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and go down to you? But they sent me this message 4 times, and I answered them in the same manner. Again, 4 times they sent the same message. So people that want to waste your time and engage you into getting you into an argument will oftentimes persist and push you and push you and push you. Now, to Nehemiah's credit, he had another person that answered him. He didn't actually have to get into the fray with them. So isn't that nice if you had someone that could do that for you? So anyway, it says, but they sent me this message 4 times, and I answered them in the same manner. Then Sanballat sent his servant to me as before, the 5th time, with an open letter in his hand. In it was written, it is reported among the nations, and Geshem says, that you and the Jews plan to rebel. Therefore, according to these rumors, you are rebuilding the wall, that you may be their king. And you have also appointed prophets to proclaim concerning you at Jerusalem, saying, there is a king in Judah. Now these matters will be reported to the king. So come, therefore, and let us consult together. So they lied. Again, people who have demons are going to accuse you of things and saying, this is who you are. You bad person, you. You did this, 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 and this. And again, majority of the time, again, if you are lying with the Lord, doing what God wants, none of it's going to be true. And when they do that, what do? Do you engage with them? Do you defend yourself? No, no, that's a waste of time. The best thing to do is ignore them. Keep on doing what God tells you to do. That's what I've done, and it works. Oh my gosh, you keep your peace on. You get to enjoy life. You get to have fun. You get blessed by God in the midst of your enemies. So what happened here? Let me see. Did he engage with them? Did he, address all these evil things? So it says here, it says, then I sent to him, saying, no such things as you say are being done, but you invent them in your own heart. Ain't that the truth? For they all are trying to make us afraid. See, that's what demons do when people try to accuse you of things to make you get into fear, saying, ah ha ha, I'm going to expose you. I'm going to say all these bad things about you. You're like, really? Go ahead. Have at it. Because none of them are true. Yay. So, they were trying to make us afraid, saying their hands will be weakened in the work, and it will not be done. Now therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. Afterward I came to the house of Shemaiah, the son of Delaiah, the son of Mehetabel, who was a secret informer. And he said, let us meet together in the house of God, within the temple, and let us close the doors of the temple, for they are coming to kill you. Indeed, at night they will come to kill you. And I said, should such a man as I flee? And who is there such as I who would go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in. Then I perceived that God had not sent him at all. So again, the enemy may be sending people that are near to you to give you thoughts, to cause you to get into fear and worry. That is from the enemy. That's why you have to discern. All right. So it says, then I perceived that God had not sent him at all, but that he pronounced this prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. For this reason, he was hired, that I should be afraid and act that way in sin, so that they might have cause for an evil report. Excuse me. So that they might have cause for might reproach me. My God, remember Tobiah and Sanballat according to their works, and the prophetess Noadiah, and the rest of the prophets who would have made me afraid. So see, some people who would call themselves prophets are evil, hearing demonic spirits, trying to come against you, and trying to cause you to have fear. So, it says, the wall was finished on the 25th day of Elul in 52 days. And it happened when all of our enemies heard of it, and all the nations around saw these things, that they were very disheartened in their own eyes, for they perceived that this work was done by our God. Amen. Yay. So, the whole crux of Nehemiah was, did he get into fear, get into worry? Because the enemy against each of us wants to accuse. Again, this is all in the premise that you are doing what the Lord wants you to do. Again, if you are aligned with the enemy, and then if you're going to look at your enemies, who are those that are godly, as the enemy, and that's not the right perception. You have to make sure that you're doing what's right in the Lord's eyes. And if you are, then those who are truly the enemy are those with demonic spirits. And they want to waste your time. They want to accuse you. So you speak the truth, and then you disengage, and you finish what God has put you on assignment for. And that's what I'm doing in my ministry. It's not easy to deal with people who have been wounded, who have been hurt, who have demons, who will lie, make things up, and their own lives, unfortunately, are a mess. And they have no love, they have no compassion, they want to accuse, they want to control, they want to manipulate. So what you have to do is either address once and then block and move on, or disengage altogether. But keep on doing what God's calling is on your life. Continue to overcome. So here's some good Bible verses to conclude with. Proverbs 26:4 says, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Proverbs 29:9, if a wise man has an argument with a fool, the fool only rages and laughs, and there is no quiet. Yes, how many people like to rage, rant and rage? I knew of an individual, a couple of individuals, that all they did was rant and rage. And it's like, I'm like looking at them like, really? You call yourself a Christian and you're ranting and raging? That's demonic. That's crazy. It's a waste of time. Proverbs 18:2, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. Isn't that true? How many people today, they want to just yell and scream and riot and be crazy? They're a fool. They don't want to understand what the truth is. You can't reason with people that have demons. Proverbs 17:7. Or no, Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Proverbs 18:6. A fool's lips walk into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating. Isn't that true? Proverbs 14:29. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Proverbs 26:11. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. And it's true, they'll do the same thing over and over and over again. Proverbs 15:2. The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out folly. Proverbs 23. That's 20. Chapter 20, verse 3. It is an honor for a man to keep aloof from strife, but every fool will be quarreling. James 1:19-20. Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. How many people do you know that you see that are angry, violent, rioting, crazy people? It's demonic. The demons in them are incited. And oftentimes they do get their way by yelling, screaming, and behaving crazy. But it's not to the righteousness of God. And there's people that would fall in that crazy category that would call themselves Christians, but they're not. And the Lord knows. He knows their hearts. He knows their intentions. So the whole point of this is when you have people who try to stop you from doing what God's calling is, first of all, they're gonna have to be careful, because if they overstep their bounds and they start to accuse and make things up that are crazy, the Lord, He will step in, and things will not go well for them. Things will not go well at all. So, and the whole point of it is to stand strong, to speak up for yourself what the Lord wants you to speak up. And again, Jesus spoke up. He didn't back down from the Pharisees and scribes. And after he spoke up, he got out of Dodge. He went to the mountains. He said, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to engage all day long with these Pharisees and scribes. They're fools. He knew their hearts. They were evil and wicked. Alrighty, so this Saturday, May the 1st, we'll be in Atlanta, Georgia at the Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center. So come get your breakthrough. Bring your spouse. Everybody's that's married, has spouses, and I know it's hard. If a person has a spirit of Jezebel, they will not want to come. They will not to admit that they have anything wrong with them. They'll have pride that will get in their way. But at least they're going to hear the truth. And the truth can work on them to get them set free so that they can actually have a peaceful, loving marriage with intimacy. It's never intimacy when a person's not delivered. All it is yuck, mechanic. So, all right. The Lord loves you, and He wants you to know the truth, and the truth will set us free. So I will let you go. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we're almost into May. Yay. All right. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.